As well, I was using my phone to do the camera last time, and then it drops me off somehow. I don't know why. And my other computer is so slow. I just didn't want to get cut off. So I'm
You're
not
fine.
Yeah,
turn
that's
on the
fine.
camera right now, just because I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, no, you're good. So did we pick a team leader last week, or did we know we were going to need one this week?
I don't think we did, so we haven't really assigned anybody, or I don't know how we want to do it.
Okay. I can be the team leader this week. I don't mind doing that.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
It seems like, from what I've read, it's kind of lays it all out for the team leader to just. I think if everyone read it, it just kind of helps with the conversation.
Yeah, I think so too.
Some of those time limits, though, it looks like they're expecting this to take like an hour and a half to get through it all.
I hope not.
I'm not either.
If we're fast, it doesn't matter, does it?
I don't think so. It's just like when I was looking at it, it just like the discussion prep just has like the parts. But yeah, I think as long as we get through it,
Yeah, I say we're good to
and
go.
then it looks like do we just talk about it all, and then the team discussion leader does the little write up at the end, or do we all work on like the paper together in our meeting, and then you just post it?
I think I go ahead and just do it up. I just take notes from what we're
Yeah.
talking about, and then I just do it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was saying that we could do like a Google Doc or something, and people can put notes in there or something like that, but the leader puts them together. So we could, write notes, or if we have something we want to say, we can send it to you, or, we can post it or do it in a Google Doc or whatever it is.
Okay, that would be really good for like the doohickeys.
Yeah, yeah. Because that paper is going to be a long one, so I don't know.
Yeah. What did he say? Like 7 pages?
Um, I think 5 to, was it 8? 5 to 8 or something. But last night, like, have you had a chance to watch
I only got maybe 20 minutes into it, or a half an hour.
Okay, because he talked about the doohickeys, and he said what it says on the paper has been changed. I think it was like the requirement was reduced, like as far as how many words it needed to be and things like that. And so it's not as long, but it's still, I think, 3,500, 5,000 word or something like that.
Okay. And did you see that he said we can take over any of the quizzes we want?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So I'm excited, but not that I did that bad, but there was just a few that I was like, really? So
Yeah. I think you can actually take over your quizzes. Like, I've taken, one or two of them over, I think. Well, maybe one of them over or something. I think it was this class.
yeah.
Yeah, you can retake them, but it tells you all the answers right after you finish. So it's kind of like if you don't get them right the second time through, you're kind of missing the point here, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's true. Gotta make
Yeah.
the notes, I guess.
So with this doohickeys thing, is it 4 separate papers, or do we just turn in a part of it in like week 4, week 7, week 10, week 13?
I think we have to have one paper as a group in week 4, and in week 7, and week 10, and week 13. But he said the content of the paper is based on what we learned in those weeks, and so it will be different. The paper itself will be different.
Okay.
So that's what I understood, but I don't know how that will work as far as a real goes.
I never saw where it said like word limit. I've only read where it says like the plan ahead in this lesson when it talks about how we have to choose the 3 issues and then write 12 solutions. Is that not what we do in week 4 anymore? Has he changed that?
I think that's what we did. I think that's the questions. Where did I put the paper? I think that's what we're supposed to do, like discuss, that 4 solutions or 4.
Okay.
But I wasn't sure because last night he was saying that there was a word, like you have to meet, certain criteria, and the length was one of them. And he said he wouldn't go anything below that. You can have it longer, but he said he wouldn't do it, cut it shorter. So I think if we didn't have enough awards or enough, then he would deduct points from that.
Okay.
So I have to go. I haven't had a chance to go into all the document and find what exactly it said. I couldn't remember where it was either, so I know I have to go back and find that as well.
Okay. Well, and I can do something up tomorrow on Google Documents, and put everybody on it, and then that way we can all kind of put answers or questions on it and do it that way.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So, is that something that we could be working on over the next 2 weeks, or did you say it's stuff that we learn in week 4 that we write it about?
I think it's an ongoing thing. We can discuss about it and we can start writing. And I think he recommended that we get going. We don't wait till last minute, of course. So that way we kind of have the bulk of it done, and we don't have to cram it.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's why I'll go ahead and do it up tomorrow, and then that way people can start putting stuff on it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, should we start? Because I'm tired and ready for bed. But
Yeah. Might as well. 10:10.
Okay. So first question, did the varsity members engage in too much conflict? What was the conflict about, and is there any appropriate place for conflict among the members of varsity crew or among the members of any team? So this was kind of interesting because I wasn't quite sure at first how this even pertained to our class, where we're, HR, not this stuff, but then it kind of made sense that maybe the coach would be like the human resource person and all the rowers are like his employees.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. Looking at that document, it kind of says that there's the 2 types of team conflict: the task conflict and the effective conflict. I don't really know which I would classify it as, because it wasn't until kind of the end of the article, if I remember it right, that they really started getting mad at each other, the varsity rowers. It seemed like they just weren't in sync very well, but I don't know if it's because they couldn't agree on how to row, or if that they didn't like each other, but that they just, something wasn't clicking. It was egos or whatnot.
yeah, that's kind of what I gathered, that they all thought they were doing everything themselves, and the coach had noticed that there was no leader, and that, you know, there were quite a few of them that were the disruptors, which I thought was interesting.
And I think they were trying to like do their part, but they weren't like necessarily working together. And I think that was the part. You know, they didn't have a leader. They didn't work really like together. You know, they didn't have the same goals and worked together. And you know, they were doing best they could by themselves, but it didn't really turn out, you know, to be like working, helping each other. And
Yeah. I thought the next question is trusting other rowers necessary for the crew team's success. And in my notes, or off to the side, I put that a lot, that they weren't trusting each other, which I thought was really kind of interesting, because you would think since they're the faster boat, the varsity, that they should be able to trust each other better. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
yeah. Yeah, the one thing that I thought was interesting was that, like, it kind of explained, like, you're supposed to trust each other, that, you know, if somebody goes out of rhythm, you know, or kind of goes off, then you got to trust them enough that they will come back and, you know, fix that. And so you shouldn't be, like, fixing yourself, you know, to accommodate that, you know, instead you just trust that person enough that, you know, that person will fix it and match with rest of the team.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting. I thought, you know, well, that kind of can work in a place like a workplace, you know, if you have a team and a project, then, you know, you can't always accommodate that person that's not really working as hard. You know, you kind of have to be able to trust everybody that they'll do their part, you know, because if you just like that, well, if you just start, you know, accommodating that person, then whole team kind of goes down, you know. So you kind of have to, everybody has to take their own responsibility and fulfill that, and we have to be able to trust the team members.
Yeah, you have to trust they're going to do their work and get it done.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, this one kind of relates to a job, you know, field, and it can also relate to what we're going to have to do too, because as a team we have to work together, you know, and we can't, you know, it's great that you're doing your own part and you're working hard, but at the same time, if we don't like collaborate and work together, then it won't turn as, you know, out as good as it would if we were able to work together.
Yeah, I agree. What happens to team trust if you replace one member of the team? What do you guys think about that one?
I don't know, didn't it say that when they put one of the varsity kids with the JV, the JV boat just won they won by even more?
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of it was trust as much as it was just like the boat was in sync. I don't know.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering, were they trying maybe harder since they got put down? You know, like when you kind of get demoted, sometimes you're like, oh, I got to step it up. And then when you start, you know, you get back up to where you were, you're like, oh, I'm here. I'm content. I don't need to try.
Plus, if you have like a new person in it, then everybody's more aware, and I think like trying hard, like you said, you know, and maybe that makes it better too. You know, they're kind of more careful about all things going on, I think.
Yeah. What happened toward the end of the case when the coach switched? Well, we just talked about that. The varsity individuals with the JVs, and what does that prove?
Mm-hmm.
So, how did the rivalry between the two boats influence the varsity performance? Do you think the varsity would have had faster times if they practiced alone?
I don't think they would have.
I don't think so either. Just kind of like with running, if you don't have someone to run next to, what's the point of running faster? I don't know. I think it's harder.
Competition is good, I think. Makes you go, makes you better. I mean, too much of it might not be good, but, little healthy competition always helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that's what it just asked. The next question was about fostering competition between teams. Is it harmful? I think obviously it must be I don't know. I mean, do you think that's part of the reason why varsity was so off?
It might have contributed to it a little bit, but it seems almost like an excuse for why they weren't in sync, because like they have the better rowers, they should have been able to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. How did varsity problems evolve over time, and do you think there's a key point when their downward spiral started? I kind of. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking about this, and I kind of thought, the coach kind of noticed that there were issues quite a while ago, and he kept doing tests, and it's almost like he waited till 4 days before the big competition to address it. And I think maybe if he would have addressed it earlier and maybe did, I don't know, maybe some team building activities just with the varsity to see if he could maybe somehow fit them together better.
I agree. That would have been better, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the emails that varsity was much more at blaming people, where JV wasn't. They were more just about encouraging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of answers the next one too about coach stepping in to provide better leadership. I think he could have done better leadership. I think he was kind of thrown off because the times were better than last year, and they'd done really good last year, so he just couldn't wrap his head around why they were doing so bad.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's not only just the times, those kind of things. It's a different side that helps the team to be better. Just like, just knowing each other and knowing how others will react to certain things. I think those kind of things, they might be little things, but can help the team.
Yeah. So what do you think coach could have done differently earlier in the season? I kind of talked about more team building with just the varsity. What else do you think they could have done?
I liked your point about him stepping in sooner, because it seems like they kind of went through the whole season and it was kind of festering and just, I don't know, blew up at the end. Because
Yeah.
those types of feelings, they don't happen overnight. So I think maybe he could have noticed that sooner.
I agree.
Or maybe after he noticed something happening, he lets them practice separately for a bit. Just 'cause I think it could get a little demeaning getting beat by the JV over and over again, even though you're the same place in life and school and whatnot. just because you're supposed to do better, there's a lot more pressure.
Yeah, I agree. It says here, at what point do you think he should have intervened, and that we're supposed to be kind of specific? You guys have any thoughts of when exactly he should have maybe stepped up and intervened?
I think it's important that as soon as he notices something is wrong, just so like problems do not get bigger. Because I think if you just leave it, then it kind of festers and get bigger and bigger, and something goes wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And if he had like just kind of taken care of it right away, and even just taking him aside, like the person that was having issue aside, just say what's going on, what can we do, those kind of things. Just knowing, being aware of what was going on, just with his life, might have helped.
Yeah, I agree. What do you guys think exactly what he should have done? I think maybe doing some of the team building just with varsity, and I know, Zach, you said about maybe varsity could have practiced some alone also, so that they're building themselves up versus always being torn down because JV's beating them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any ideas? Okay. What do you think Coach P should do on Tuesday? Because did they have their big blow up? Was that on a Monday?
I don't really understand. Like, I don't really remember what the significance was with Tuesday. Was that the day before the final race, or?
It seems like Monday was the day that when they blew up. So Tuesday was just the next day.
Okay.
From what I can
tell. Because he walked back to his office, and that's where it kind of ended.
Yeah. So I think they're referring to the next day.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And I mean, I feel like what I think he should have done would have been, and it's cheesy, but it should have been like every 80s movie. When you think of Hoosiers, or what's that game, the Miracle one with the hockey against Russia? What was that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Anyway, you would think that there would just be some, because it almost seems like a movie, that there would be some miracle team building, come together, exercise. But I don't know that that's even possible. I mean, that's why it's in the movies, because it's so unique. But in my personal opinion, I mean, I would have tried to recreate something. I would have gotten. I mean, when you have crushed spirits like that, that's when they're most moldable, and I think that's when the real coaching would actually come through. As cheesy as it sounds.
No, I agree. So what do you guys think he should actually do, though, on Tuesday? I mean, he's got, nationals in 3 days?
Yeah, when I think of it, like my rugby coach, we did the same thing. It sounds dramatic, but the first thing he did, he said, okay, well, this isn't about rugby. This is about, without getting too cheesy, I'm sure we all have our own, sports story. It doesn't, at that point, it's not about crew. They all are great rowers. It's about them as a team. It's about, the simple, functional, whatever skills of working together.
Mm-hmm.
I would even consider just having JV go race in do they both race, or is it just one team or the other?
It doesn't say, but it did say in here that last year, or maybe it was not last year, but a while ago, he and one of the coaches had switched it up. They switched the JV to varsity and varsity to JV, and they both went to nationals, and they both actually won, or were like, up in the top. So it's definitely an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would I guess demoralize them further, so it might motivate them to grow. I think that I would, what Coach P should have done is just do team building exercises, like at scout camp or whatever. They have these cope or something was what they called it. It was just high adventure type things that really didn't have any meaning. It was what you did together as a team. So just team building exercises.
Yeah, I agree.
Take him on a retreat in the desert. I don't know what he would have done, because but something like that, like something to build the team. Because even if they're going to compete at a JV level, they need to fix the problem. And as a coach, you're thinking, what can I do that will teach them life skills, and what can I do to teach them so that they won't, this is a great teaching moment for him if he can realize it amidst this frustration.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway.
Okay, if he were to switch the varsity and JV, what would be the risks, do you think?
I think it's kind of like what JT said. You could, you demoted varsity could really ruin their confidence, and it could be a really bad situation.
Yeah.
And for some situations, it could be, even more detrimental than just, we lost the nationals. Because if they are going nationals, or they are going further, a lot of these kids probably have scholarships. I know kids at our school had one of them went to Harvard on a crew scholarship. So, just the fact that you got demoted to JV, that could ruin a college signing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm just pulling up the next little document they said to talk about, and it's kind of I think the responses to what happened. Did any of you guys read that yet, or?
I just opened it.
Leonardo's trying to get on, but he can't figure it out. He's texting all of us, trying to join us.
Oh.
He said, "Please help."
Please help. I have no idea how to get him on. Does anyone else?
Right. I think you invited him, right? Not much more you can do from your end.
Yeah. I
just have to find the right place to click on it.
Yeah. Okay. Letting conflicts fester. Here's the article about it. It says, Coach P, coach of the Army crew at West Point a few years ago, faced a baffling problem. Through extensive testing, he had developed objective criteria to risk his rowers. To rank his rowers. He then put the 8 best, his dream team, in varsity boat, 8 others in the junior varsity boat. The problem, the JV beat the varsity 2/3 of the time. The situation, as explained in the Harvard Business School case, was that the varsity was full of resentment over who was contributing most, while the JV, feeling they had nothing to lose, supported one another happily. One day, Coach P lined up the varsity crew in 4 pairs. He told them they were to wrestle, no punching, for 90 seconds. There were no clear winners. Each man was discovering that his opponent was just as strong and determined as he was. Coach then had them change opponents and wrestle again. By the 3rd round, they were choosing their own opponents. One guy would point to another and say, "You." Coach says, finally one of the rowers started laughing, and they all piled into a general brawl. Eventually someone said, "Coach, can we go row now?" From then on, the varsity boat flew. You probably can't order members of an executive team to wrestle, tempting though it may be, but bringing tension out into the open and then resolving them is one of the team leader's most important jobs. That's definitely a different way to solve the problem.
Yeah.
The question is, why do you think this response worked? I kind of think maybe it worked because they realized they're all strong and how silly it was that they're competing against each other.
Yeah. That they're all determined. Like they all want the same thing. Why fight each other?
Yeah. And what can we learn from this approach that might apply to a team in a business setting? I think one thing is, if you find conflict in your group, in the business, or in your team in the business setting, is to address it right away instead of letting it fester.
Yeah. I think something like when I was doing an internship, there was about 10 of us interns all. It seemed like we were all competing to get a full-time offer with this company, and it kind of gave you the impression that if you did something good, you wanted to show it off a little bit, and you didn't really want to help another intern because if you were doing better than them, then you'd have a better chance at getting the offer. And then when it ended, everyone got offers to work, and so it kind of made me think, well, that was silly, because I know for a fact that there's times when I didn't help someone as well as I could have, or someone didn't help me as well as they could have, because of this like inherent competition that didn't really need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was I don't know, someone in charge at a company like that, I would maybe try to address that sort of situation at the beginning when new people are hired on, so that they don't feel the need to hold back from helping each other.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in this class where we listened to some lady from Google. Was that in this class or one of my other classes?
I think it was this one.
Okay.
I don't know.
I thought it was kind of good that she said, they don't worry about where the ideas have come from. They all work together, and it seems to work really well for them because everyone's contributing ideas, and they're not worried about what their neighbor's doing.
Yeah.
So just like what you were saying. Okay. Supposed to ask each team member what they learned, the most important thing they learned from this case. I think instead of asking everyone, I'm going to go ahead and write this up on a Google document, and I'll send it to, put everyone as a contributor so everyone can put down what they learned the most.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just answer those last couple of questions. And then that way Leonardo can contribute too, because I know he was trying to get on.
Yeah.
So, does anyone else? Oh, go ahead and talk for just a second. My husband's locked out of the house.
Oh, okay.
Hey guys, I'm trying to get Leonard on right now. I'm on the phone with him. It isn't showing up on his, it's not letting him in. So that's basically what the problem is right now. He's listening to it. I can hear it. He just can't get in.
Okay.
Actually, he got me Taco Bell. How nice is that? Sorry.
Oh, he just said that he likes it. Everybody says Leonardo, but it is Leonard. But he likes Leonardo, so that's great. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm horrible with names. Sorry.
That's okay. Suzanne, I was just telling him I was just trying to walk him through how to get in, and he doesn't have like the same invite that we do. He has the invite and he can see it, but it's not letting him join. And then I just tried to invite him again, and it won't let me.
Interesting.
invite
Okay. Well, let him know, because that I'm going to go ahead and put this up on a Google document, and I'll make sure he has access. All of us do, and that he can address any of the questions and stuff, because I know he was really trying to get on. So I won't dock. Obviously we don't want to dock him points or anything, because he's obviously trying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one thing the instructor was saying that we all get a same grade.
Oh, good. Okay.
Whatever our team gets is whatever whoever's in the team will get. So we're all going to get one grade. So
Awesome.
We should get A's.
Yep.
You guys are all for getting A's, right?
Yep.
Like I understand you only need a C to pass, but
I've only had one B since I started college. So yes, I like the A's.
You're a good team leader.
And that B was a 89.98%. So I was really kind of upset that they couldn't bounce it up just a little bit. But it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and write this up probably tomorrow, and I'll stick it up on Google Docs and invite everyone, so then that way we can all talk about it. And we also talked about doing that for the doohickeys, and I'll put up another Google document. Google, not Doodle, sorry. Google document for the doohickey problems, too. So then that way we can start discussing those.
Okay. So are we supposed to discuss those tonight, or are we supposed to have another day to do that, you think? I know he had mentioned that we can meet weekly, or we can meet, more or whatever, but
I would say let's throw this up on the Google Docs and then maybe discuss it next week with what we're doing now.
okay, sounds good.
Is that okay? That way we can all kind of put up our thoughts.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a question, and this might have been addressed, but there's this paper that's due this week. Yes? No?
I will be submitting it. It's just the discussion leader that has to submit it.
Okay, I was just confused as to what the online classes just get me sometimes, so I'm just going through here.
We do have that interview, that HR interview.
Yeah, I did that.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's all. And then he said we don't have to do anything, because if you're not leader, then you don't have to do anything. And when you are the leader, then you have to. So.
Yeah. Well, if you need help, you let me know, because I'm all for supporting the A's, and if you're...
Okay.
Yeah, well, she's going to post the Google Doc for us, so when she does, then we can all pitch in and help too, so.
Perfect.
And really fast, I just put my baby to sleep. That's why I'm now, actually video. But Leonard just said that he'll comment on I just got from him. He said he'll comment on it, and then I can comment on it too tomorrow, since I know we're, wrapping it up, but I can comment on there as well.
Oh, perfect. And does anyone want to be or volunteer to be group leader next week? Or I can just assign it. I mean...
I would just like to request to not do it next week. I will be out of town next week, so I don't want to start it late or do anything like that. That's my only request. Is not next week for me.
Okay. Does anyone else have a request? I can just kind of put up a little schedule.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it next week.
Okay.
I'll volunteer.
Perfect. Thanks, JT.
Volunteers tribute.
I thought that.
Volunteer as tribute.
Okay. Well, I think that's good. Does anyone else have anything, or?
No, it sounds good.
Okay. Well, does this time still work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.